In August of 2011, my father fell and injured himself at home. My husband and I decided to take my father into our care. Although we were in a very tight financial situation at that time, we felt that family was more important than anything else and could not leave my father alone to face difficulties. Although he did not have any broken bones, he suffered injuries to his back and arms and needed regular medication and rest. On the way home, my husband and I discussed how we could arrange our time so that my father could be better cared for. We finally decided that I would take a month off work to stay home and take care of my father. It was a very difficult time for us, and we had to keep a tight rein on expenses. I also had to take care of the children's school and life. Although I felt very tired at times, I knew that this was what we should do. My husband and I always encouraged my father to face life positively and keep a positive attitude. One morning, I was going to the hospital to buy painkillers for my father. I arrived at the hospital quickly. I purchased the painkillers at the hospital. At the supermarket, I bought some more food and daily necessities. But on the way home, an accident happened. A car broke down and stopped on the highway. The car in front of me started to slow down. I put my foot on the brake and slowly started to slow down as well. I looked in my rearview mirror and saw a large truck approaching me. The truck was going very fast and I was very scared. I tried to move to the left, but it was too late. At the moment the truck hit me, time seemed to stop. Suddenly, I began to feel a special feeling, a feeling of being surrounded by love. This feeling became stronger and stronger. My panic had been replaced by love. I felt embraced in a way that I had never felt since I was a child. Imagine someone who loves you deeply. Now multiply that feeling by a factor of 10,000 and maybe you can feel that feeling. At the time I felt this love. I also felt a powerful energy around me. I can't describe the form, but I felt that this was God. I know that He loves me deeply. No matter what I do, He will always love me. A very peculiar connection was established between me and God. In that moment, there was no separation between me and God. I knew that I was accepted by God. When I saw God, I felt an overwhelming shock in my heart. When He spoke to me, I heard the most pleasing voice in the universe. It was a voice that could heal the heart. The look in His eyes made me feel safer and warmer than ever before. All my worries and pains disappeared in this moment. He helped me look back on my past life. I saw the good things I had done and the mistakes I had made. Once I got into an argument with a close friend and I said something extremely mean and hurtful. When I look back on that moment, I feel a great heaviness in my heart because I realized that I had caused him harm. God did not rebuke me. He said, "My child, I know your heart. But you must know that I love you, and I will always love you, no matter what mistakes you have made." I felt a strength that I had never felt before welling up inside me, making me believe that I could be better. I got the answer in His eyes that punishing myself did not make me better. When the life review was over, He explained to me my mission on earth. I was amazed after hearing His words. All of us are very important to God. He told me that everyone's life on earth would be different and that anyone's life experience is very important. I asked Him, "Why do I have such a father? I didn't have a happy childhood," and He told me, "You have to experience something to learn to grow and move on to the next job." I understood that the earth is like a school. When we finish school, we all have to take a final exam. That is, a review of each person's life, and then we can graduate and go home. Everything becomes so meaningful. I began to understand the meaning of life. Life is not a simple journey, but a journey full of challenges and growth. During this journey, we must experience many difficulties and setbacks in order to become better people. These experiences make us who we are, and it is this growth and change that makes our lives meaningful. The meaning of life is not in what we have, but in what kind of person we become. Only then can we become better people and win inner peace and happiness. Here, I also met the relatives who passed away. They all looked very young. They were all wearing a white robe that looked very comfortable and soft. This robe seems to be made of some special material. The robe gave off a soft glow, making them look even more special. Everyone was smiling and looked very happy and content. I saw my grandmother. She was smiling and walking towards me. She looked so young and beautiful. Her dress was embroidered with a beautiful rose that looked like it had been sewn by hand. I also saw my grandfather, who looked like a gentleman. He was holding a thick book in his hand. I could feel that he was very peaceful and calm inside. Beside them, there were some other people. I couldn't identify them, but I could feel their love and peace. They all had a unique light in them that made me feel completely included and accepted. In this place, I felt at home. Their eyes were filled with tenderness and love. The light from them illuminated the space around them and made me feel very calm and relaxed. They were so real, it was as if they were always there for me, separated only by an invisible barrier. Seeing their current state, I knew they were better off than before. When I met my grandfather, I felt very guilty inside. He had died of a sudden heart attack and I hadn't had a chance to say goodbye to him. I remember my grandfather as a kind man who was always able to answer my questions. During the time he was about to leave, my relationship with my family became strained. My grandfather smiled at me and I felt his love and comfort. I said to my grandfather that I regretted not spending more time with you before you passed away, and I was sorry. Grandfather put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Son, you have to understand that we look at relationships differently here than we do on earth. Here, we focus only on the spiritual level of love and respect." My grandfather's words touched my heart so deeply that tears began to well up in my eyes. Grandfather also told me many things about heaven. In this moment, I felt a deep sense of peace and happiness. Although his time on earth had ended, our love and relationship would always continue. My grandfather also told me that the most important thing in this world is love. Love is not only a feeling, but also an action. He told me that in heaven, all people love each other and there is no negativity, only peace and joy. He said that the most important thing in this world is to learn tolerance and understanding, to love yourself and those around you. I know that I have done many wrong things and hurt my family and friends, but I also know that there is still a chance for me to change. Our conversation made me re-examine myself and made me appreciate life more, to try to be a better person. My grandfather gently patted my hand and said he always loved me too. Finally, God asked me, "Do you want to stay or go back?" Although I was very eager to stay here, I knew I had to go back. I didn't want to leave my life with regrets. So, very reluctantly, I replied, as much as I wanted to stay, I knew I had to go back. God gave me a warm hug. I felt his love, and it made me even more determined. I said goodbye to my grandfather and the rest of my family. They walked me to the door of heaven. Grandfather took my hand again and he said, "Remember, we are with you whenever you are." I shed tears and expressed my love and gratitude to him and the rest of my family. Finally, I turned to God and said goodbye. He smiled and said, "I will always love you, wherever you are. I will always be there for you when you need me." I thanked him and then turned and left heaven. Suddenly, I was back in the real world. My hand was still clutching the steering wheel. In the back of my mind, a voice appeared. It told me to take my foot off the brake and push the gas pedal to the floor. I didn't understand it at first, but as the voice grew stronger, I began to act on the instructions. Then, I hit the car in front of me, and it traveled forward some distance with its inertia. The big truck behind me also stopped. I sat in the driver's seat and kept my arms around myself, because I didn't want to lose the love of God. I hoped it would give me strength and courage. I didn't know how long it would take for the doctor to arrive on the scene, and the wait seemed long. My mood became more and more anxious. As the doctor opened the car door, I felt God's love begin to fade away. The doctor began to examine my body, and he was surprised to find that I hadn't suffered any injuries. I was also very surprised. I wanted to tell the doctor about what I had experienced, but I could not put them into words. It was clear to me that God had been watching over me. After going through that car accident, I have a different perspective on life. I knew my mission on earth and decided to appreciate every moment of my life more. I put a picture of myself above my bed and remind myself every morning that I am a child of God. This gives me the strength and courage to face the challenges in my life. When I am in a difficult situation, I stop and think about what to do next, because I don't want to hurt anyone else. Although I'm not perfect, I try really hard to do the right thing. In the year after the accident, I experienced a lot of difficulty and pain. I often wondered why I stayed in this world. But, looking back on that experience, I learned a lot. When I see the sunlight coming through the clouds, sometimes I really want to go back there. I believe God is the light, and He keeps reminding me to remember how much He loves me, and that I will never be alone. One day, I will return to Him forever. Until I get back there, life becomes a lot easier by seeing every difficulty as an adventure.